Okay, so welcome everybody, those of you who have managed to take some time out, and thank you, Mary, for putting this together. It is our final session. Thank you very much for Mary, who's been providing an opportunity for us to discuss many things regarding mental health.
Nasri,
Yes?
let me welcome you. Yeah, let me do the introduction.
Yeah, go ahead, Mary. Go ahead.
Thank you, darling. Yeah, good morning, everyone. My name is Mary Adekugbe, the founder and the chair of the Nigeria Community Association based in Rochdale. NCA is in partnership with GNCVO and Comic Relief Fund to deliver this visual mental health awareness workshop to help develop better support for BEM communities at this unprecedented time. Welcome you all to this grand finale of the mental health awareness session. Today's session makes the fourth of it in 4 months. Past months, we were taught what is mental health, its effects, how to combat mental health, to be resilient, self-care, self-love, and so on. So today, please sit back and let's welcome Nasri Akhtar, a mental health practitioner, the CEO of Awakened Minds based in Rochdale. A big round of applause for her, please. Let's welcome her on board.
Over to me, Mary.
Over to you, darling.
Thank you so very much for a fantastic introduction. May I also take this opportunity for each of you for taking time out and attending today's finale session. As Mary mentioned, we've had 4 sessions. Just to recap on a few things, in our very first session, we discussed the difference of what mental health and mental illness is to our audiences, and we had an open questions and answers, and I was very delighted to see some mothers who had their sons as well present in the session, which was really, really interesting to and have an interactive session. The second session was a slightly in-depth session in terms of some of the conditions of mental health and what they appear to be and what are the signs, what we could identify and observe as parents and carers as some of the signs which could be evident or early signs where intervention needs to take place. Last month's session was the importance of self-care as care providers, as parents, as carers, as community leaders within our communities, how difficult it is and how emotionally challenging we find it as well, and the importance of self-care, not only to give the information of self-care to our guests and our service users, but also how we can take action to take care of ourselves as well. So that was the third session. So today's session, we will do a synopsis and a summary of everything we've been discussing for the past 4 months. And in the last few minutes, we'll have a questions and answer session. If you have any questions or if you have any leads or any particular areas you want to cover, which I'm sure me and Mary can work towards in the future as well. So just as a general recap, the difference, there is a huge difference between mental health and mental illness. Mental health is equally as important as physical health. It's not something that you can see, smell, or taste. It's something that you feel and observe. And in our professional experiences and opinions within our communities, my focus has been specifically on the BAME communities, on how we are very reluctant to seek support and help, and what are the barriers for us to seek support and help. So the difference between a mental health is somebody who is able to manage and can cope with their day-to-day activities and minor stresses of life. That's somebody who is appeared to be as mentally healthy, who is on the ball, who can access and manage their stresses, recognize their stresses, identify them, and also put in place some early interventions. Now, somebody who is experiencing or going through a bout of an illness is not necessarily somebody who themselves will recognize. And it's often the onus depends on and lies upon family members, parents, carers. Predominantly, it's the mothers who identify and sense that there's something wrong within our family. It could be a child, it could be a husband, it could be a brother, it could be any extended family members. So some of the signs which can identify or give you an identification or an early onset sign that something is not right. For example, some of the signs could be people who are not getting out of bed. I mean, we're going through a pandemic now, so there's anxiety and stress across the board. There is sadly a very large increase in suicide ideation, which I mean by suicide ideation is people who are often thinking about ending their lives by any means necessary. And that's not necessarily because they want to die or they want to leave this earth. That is purely because the pain and the challenges and the struggles they are finding emotionally are no longer bearable. It's like almost if I could compare it to an illness, a physical illness, which is more respected within our communities and nationally as a nation. We are working towards recognizing mental health, but we've got many miles and many years ahead of us of challenges. So if we could compare somebody who is maybe have woken up and they have identified or felt and observed a lump or a bump around their body somewhere, or a mole, or some pain, or maybe some excessive bleeding within their body. It's not something the average person would ignore. They are encouraged to, nationally, there are campaigns to encourage us to kind of self-care, manage it and monitor our bodies. If there are any changes, lumps or bumps, to go and access support, which is very commonly recognized and encouraged within our communities. But for mental illness, what are the signs? Do we have the capabilities? Do we have the awareness of identifying what the signs are? What do the signs of mental illness look like? So some of the signs could be feeling very, very low, not getting out of bed, not being kept, not paying attention to your appearance, maybe not washing, somebody who is withdrawing from communications, somebody who is maybe not maintaining eye contact. These are some of the signs, just a few of the signs, what could be seen as early onset of an illness or something that is an imbalance down there. You could also have signs of where somebody who is the complete opposite, who are hugely active, very dynamic, going out of their way to support conversations and entice conversations as well. So there's an opposite spectrum. And in our personal and professional opinion, the family members or the carers are the ones who are in a position to pick up the signs very early. Now, the reason for that is we as primary carers and family members and recognize a pattern with our families, with our next of kin, our children, our partners, whoever they are, whoever our family members are. We recognize their daily routine and their daily pattern. And once as family members, we can identify that this person, child or being, behavior has altered. They don't seem to be themselves. They are not engaging as well as they used to. Maybe their appetite has reduced or increased at some times. Maybe they are no longer engaging with their friends. Maybe they are having unnecessary there's a case I'm dealing with since last week who is impulsively buying items online, and that is their way of coping, having some self-worth and self-value. The mother very quickly identified something wasn't right, but because this child was refusing to leave the bedroom, they were not displaying any signs, any physical signs of such, but they simply retreated. They just did not engage with the family members. But there was parcel after parcel arriving every day. Now the mother very rightly didn't access these parcels. She didn't open them. She left them for her child to access. And it wasn't until she realized what was in the parcels that it became highlighted that this person, maybe I need to intervene, maybe I need support here. And what the gentleman was ordering was loads of items and literature of the scientific history behind suicide. And it was all to do with suicide research, suicide attempts, suicide ideations, what the statistics are. So it was loads of data in terms of suicide. He didn't ask his mother or his father or his brother or his siblings. He didn't entertain anything. He just simply went online and ordered material to enhance his knowledge, which was an indication for him, for the mother, to start some conversations. This is just a tiny example which I'm presenting to you. But one of my key things is, why is it that we from BAME communities are very reluctant to seek support? It is statistically proven, and these are the facts, that it takes up to 10 years for the average person from a BAME community to access any sort of mental health support. These are one of the key facts, and the challenges and the barriers which they are trying to identify and have identified over many, many years of statistics and the mental health hospitals and the kind of numbers they have. There is a huge, huge intake of people from Black, Asian, and minority groups. Why is this? The question is always going on to why. And the fundamental barriers and the challenges which we face are the most commonly known and commonly discussed and often, very often disregarded reasons. And the reasons are stigma and discrimination. Now, we often find, and we kind of almost off the cuff mention these comments, that it's stigma, it's discrimination, but do we actually understand what stigma is? What does stigma look like? What is stigma in its physical form? It's just a simple word, but what is it that brings it to light? What is it that we do or we do not do that feeds this stigma, which grows bigger and bigger and bigger, and it overtakes not only our lives, but our children, and has a huge impact upon future as well. So stigma. What do you guys think? I'm going to open the floor. If you could give me just one word, all of you across the board, what you guys believe is stigma. Give me one word of what you think stigma is. Mary, I'm going to allow it to you to unmute everybody because you have the power, my darling. So one word from each of you of what you believe stigma is. Mary, can you unmute everybody, darling?
Just stigma,
yeah,
is just like guilt or a shameful something you believe that is shameful, or just an act that you believe is not acceptable in the society.
Okay,
yeah.
Excellent, thank you, fantastic. Anybody else?
Fear.
Fear? Fear, fantastic, yeah, fear. Yeah, okay. Anybody else?
I would say expectations.
Expectation, interesting. Excellent. Anybody else have any comments? Go on.
My 10-year-old says inability to breathe.
Inability to breathe.
Yes, ma'am.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay. Anybody else? One last one.
Freedom. No. Harassment.
Harassment. Okay. Harassment. Okay.
Anxiety. Hello.
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah. Stigma to me is a kind of deficiency.
Deficiency.
That's peculiar to someone in the society. Yeah. That is known about that person. A kind of deficiency. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Very interesting. Very interesting indeed.
Same brush. Being painted with the same brush.
Being tarnished with the same brush. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Interesting. So the definition of
anxiety.
Anxiety. Okay. Anxiety, Stella?
Like a label. It's like a label.
Label.
Yeah.
Judgment. Judgment.
Judgment.
It's a pain. Guilt. It's a guilt. Yeah.
Pain.
Nazreen,
so, yes, Ali.
You asked for one word, but I want to. Yeah, I'm 64 now, and come from an Asian community, and been a professional for the best part of 30 years. Probation officer, youth worker, tax officer. We'll call it what you will. Number of other roles. we're a community, BAME community, in my opinion, assessed, analysed, etc. We're in denial, basically. And because we're in denial, we actually, you mentioned 10 years behind the host community in addressing the issues that actually harm us. And we're going to continue down this road unless we actually seriously address a acknowledgement of issues within, on a personal level, community level, local level, national level, international level. And unless we actually seek help, nobody's going to come and do it to us. So I've been involved in the drugs game, the alcohol drug game, etc., and housing, the various all things that we all need and we got problems with. We deny that it exists. Until we get out of that denial, we will always be suffering.
Fantastic. Great point. Thank you very much, Ali. Thank you for all your contributions. It's very interesting, the words that I'm listening and picking up. So the actual definition of stigma itself is the experience of shame and disgrace, which is set by people and which identifies us from being different. So shame and disgrace is what classifies stigma. If we were to break down stigma, like I said, stigma is just a word. And if we want it to be tangible, we want to feel it, we want to understand it, we say it, we hear it, campaigns against the whole world, nationally, internationally, they're campaigning, it's stigma, stigma, stigma. But what is stigma? So stigma is where we experience shame and disgrace. And the irony, and these are the facts, and we need the courage to understand and accept this, that the shame and disgrace does not come from outside. It comes from within our own homes. Do we have the courage to accept that there are more of our people dying than anybody else? Do we have the ability to accept that BAME men are taking their lives at an alarming rate just in UK? Do we have the courage to understand and accept that when a suicide is completed, we do not let them put down suicide on our death certificate? Do we have the courage to accept that? It's okay. We having workshops and organizations set up, they're at the drop of a hat. But who has the courage to have these conversations, to understand that it's not the system out there who is letting us down? The system is there to be used and accessed. And over the years, they have refined it to a T. Yes, it's racist. We understand that. We accept that. And in order to channel it and tackle it, we need to be accessing it. But in order to access it, we need to first recognize it. In order to recognize it, we must first accept it. And in order to accept it, we need to look in the mirror and realize, do my words, do my comments, do my actions represent shame? Am I shaming my child? Am I disgracing him by any way, shape, or form without even my knowledge? Do I have the experience, or have I picked up the pathology from my parents, from my grandparents, from my institution, from my knowledge, from the society at large? Am I just copying what I'm learning and trying to use it? But do I actually have the concept? So for example, if my son has walked down the stairs and I am feeling this, I'm not seeing it, but as a mother, I'm feeling in my gut that something doesn't seem right with my son today. I know he's walked down the stairs and he's asking for breakfast. He's sat down, I've made him breakfast and he's eating it quietly, which is normal, which is fine. As a mother, yes, my son's up, my son's downstairs, I've made him breakfast. But have we paid attention to what this child has not done? Have we paid attention to what he's not saying? Have we actually thought about when he walked out of bed, did he manage to go to the bathroom? Did he wash himself? Did he have the courage? Or how long did it actually take him to muster the ability to simply get out of bed? We very often flippantly use this word depressed. Oh, I'm depressed today. Oh, do you know what? Everything's stressful today. Oh, or you know what, leave her or him alone, they're depressed. We often say in such a flippant manner, but do you know, depression is not being sad. Sadness is completely different. It's the momentarily feeling which passes. But do we understand that? Do we understand and stop using these flippant words which are labels? Do we realize as parents that we are actually disgracing our own children and we don't even realize that? Do we have the ability and the courage to do that? No, we don't. Why don't we? Why? Because if we knew better, we'd do better. And how do we know better? It's by organizations and situations, and like Mary, like Sir Ali, who sat here, like these wonderful people who have taken the time out to understand, but it's not the outside in approach. My philosophy is to be blunt and frank, because if we don't make changes now, we're losing more and more people. We're losing our people. You know, suicide is like, the alarming rates of suicide are so shocking. If I was to say to you, there are just under 7,000 people in the UK alone who end their life by suicide. For us, you listen to it, you think, you know what, it's just a number. Let me put it in a different way. If we had an aeroplane full of 350 passengers just dropping from the sky each month, would we do something? Hell yes, we would do something. So imagine it like that. Imagine every month there is a plane full of 300 people. My apologies. A plane full of 300 people every month just dropping from the sky. Do you think we would sit back and do nothing? Hell no, we wouldn't. We would act upon it. We would do something. Why? We see these numbers, but they don't come to life to us. We try to take action and we think, okay, the authorities aren't doing anything. Statistically, and this is a statistical fact, it takes the average person like myself, and I am also guilty of this because I've experienced it. It takes us up to 10 years. If I have identified, as an example, if I was to identify a family member who I believe, or it appears to be that something's not right, never would I think it's mental health. That word or phrase would not even appear in my mind. Not once would it appear in my mind. What would appear in my mind? What I've learned from my community. You know, somebody's done black magic on him. There's some voodoo, judo involved. Let's take him to a priest. Let's take him to an imam. You know, somebody's done something to him or her. Maybe he's taking drugs. Maybe he's taking alcohol. You know what? He's just asking for attention. There's nothing wrong with him. He needs to pull his bloody socks up. I'm a mom. I'm a female. I've done so much in this world. You're a man. How dare you feel low? You have to get up because I have to get up. Why do we say these things? Because we have been taught to survive from our parents who transferred for survival, came to this country thinking that this country will provide us a better life and our children a better life. Little did we know this became a sweet prison. And what did we learn? We learned our pathology from our elders, from our seniors. Shut up and put up because you have to survive. Why? Because you're not the right color. We have been taught time and time again, we have to work 10 times harder than the average person. And we take it on the chin and think, you know what? I understand, it's okay. We have just accepted it. But we are not in a position to ignore it any longer. And this Black Lives Matter has been an absolutely phenomenal opportunity for us to identify things. I'm going to take it back a little bit. Between 16 and 24-year-old rates of unemployment amongst the Black background people is 26% within the UK alone. 26%. And the numbers of people who are being imprisoned, over 23% are from Black communities. And it's often the fact that they have an undiagnosed mental illness, which has been undiagnosed for so long, and their only way of coping was to go outside. And they did. And they may have been involved in different activities. When we say, oh, they're mixing with the wrong kind of people, We say that. We actually say that. We openly say to our children not to mix with the wrong kind of people. We have already labeled our people. Who are the wrong kind of people? What makes them wrong? Why? Because they're outside, maybe doing things which are illegal. Have we ever thought of what journey they have been on? Why are they in that position? Maybe it's their coping strategy. Do we ever think? We always are very quick to judge the other person. I am dealing with so many cases which are so unique, and we often find we are not tackling the problem. We're not tackling the problem. We're making sure we put them in a nice little box. So whatever their problems are, they just kind of contain them rather than letting them open, letting them talk. So majority of BAME community members, which is a very sad fact, are involved in drugs and crime. Do we ever sit back and think why? I'm sure we all do. There are phenomenal studies as why. They join groups, they go outside for appreciation, for recognition. That's not a place where they'll feel shame. They'll feel pride. Why? Because they're part of something. They're involved with something. Something's giving them meaning and hope. Our parents didn't give it. Our children's not giving it. My grandparents aren't giving it. They're not understanding me, accepting me, or even trying to understand what's wrong with me. And if I go outside and sit with my peers are accepting me, acknowledging me without any judgment. Yet my mother can't stop judging me. My mother has so many high expectations. Honey, you need to educate. You're the wrong color. You need to work 10 times harder. You need to be a doctor. You need to be an engineer. You need to be an accountant. You need to be a bloody pilot. You got to work harder. And these are invisible pressures, like some of my ladies here mentioned. These are pressures which aren't tangible, which you can't smell, you can't taste. But the person wakes up with this heavy weight every single day to meet the expectations of my family. And it's the inequalities, it's social inequalities. And as parents, we try to teach our children to be stronger, to survive, to not shut up and put up. But can we try to fix them immediately? No, we can't. So what can we do? What actions can we take? So we know what the problems are. And over the years, their problems are going to be thrown in our face over and over again. I feel so inadequate every time I watch the news. Every time I watch the news and they say Asians, Black, minorities are disproportionately affected, we're going to die quicker. We have more numbers in prisons. We have more numbers in mental health institutions. We have more numbers in suicide. How is that supposed to make us feel? We're a minority within a minority. When is it that we start addressing these facts? The institutions are making a mockery of us. What can we do? We can regain the power. Instead of assuming that the society and the institutions who are there to fix us, and they're not fixing us, they're not helping us. There's no support there. There is support there. They want to help us. They do care. But do you have the courage to accept? Do you honestly have the courage to recognize? Can we feel what our children, our family are feeling? Can you be in their shoes for one moment? Can you hear the unheard? Can you feel the unspoken? Often the unspoken is never the unknown. And as a mother, you have this gut, and your gut tells you lots of things. But do you have the courage? And this is what we need to do. So what actions can we take? What can we do to normalize and to encourage and to make our children and our family members feel valued and cared for and have the desire to live? What can we do? We can start looking at them. We can start listening to them. We can try to understand and normalize conversations within our own environments. How often do we actually sit down and talk about feelings? How often how many words do you have that can describe your feelings. It's called emotional intelligence, recognizing your emotions. Let me give you a tiny fact, which I'm studying neuroscience for the last 6 months. So this tiny fact I found so amazing. Every time we have a feeling, so we may label it as, I'm very anxious, I'm feeling really panicked, or I'm feeling very tired today, or feeling stressed, you know, I'm getting hot flushes, just not feeling right. And we label these experiences that we are having in our body. Do you know that these experiences that we are having in our body are the same experiences and same chemical reactions that happen when you're feeling sad and when you're feeling happy? They're exactly the same chemical movements in our brains and in our body and in our neurons. But we label them by choice. We actually label them by choice. So the same reaction that I feel agitated, it might not be agitation. I'm just labeling it as agitation according to my surroundings. I could label that same energy and the same chemical reactions as happiness, but I choose not to do that. Why? Because naturally, as humans, this is the human biological condition. We are raised and we have been created to fight, flight, or freeze. And we react. Subconsciously, we react. You know, have you ever noticed when you're outside somewhere and maybe it's windy and there may be something that's flying towards your eye and you just missed it? It's an automatic reaction. We don't have the control on our bodies to identify something coming towards us and planning and preparing quickly to close your eyes so we avoid that. We don't have that. It's an automatic reaction. The creator, the mighty, whoever created our body, however this miracle body is working, it is an automatic reaction. So when we are feeling sad or down or depressed or low and anxious and isolated and depleted and scared and frightened and weak, when we are feeling this and we don't have the words to say it, it's down to our family members to pick it up and just give them that support, validate them and say, honey, I hear you, I see you. It's okay if you're feeling low. How is it that I can help you? What has made you feel like this? Can you try to put into words what you're feeling? Do you have a word, baby? And listen to the word that they use. Do we use feeling words within our houses? We don't, and we should. So the challenges and barriers of stigma and discrimination starts from our own houses. So my plea to you guys, every single person who's listening, treat the person the way you want to be treated. They have equally same feelings and equally same experiences. But do we label them? Do we label them? Let's stop labeling them. Let's take the labels out and accept them as individuals. And one of the comments that came was, I found very interesting, is the inability to breathe. When I asked for a definition of what your understanding of stigma was an inability to breathe. I found that to be so powerful, so powerful. The inability to breathe can only be when somebody stops you from breathing, or you've got COVID, for example, and you're stuck on a life support machine. Imagine not going through all that trauma, but still experiencing that same feeling of the inability to breathe. Why? Nobody's done anything to you physically. It's what you've seen and what you've heard and what you've felt. How is it that we can expect other tangible things to come and fix what's going on inside? So this goes back to my original point. It's not the outside in approach. We can't fix the world to think we're going to fix ourselves. I am the world. The world is inside me. The world is inside Mary. The world is inside Ali. The world is inside Ruth, Adney, Nikki. The world is inside you. So we sit back and we look and observe and see, okay, how could I use my different words? And sometimes the hardest thing to do is not to do anything. not to try to fix them. Accept them for who they are. And let's try to remove these expectations we have. Yes, we want our children to be professionals and succeed and show the population out there, you know what? We're black and proud and we can do it. Yes, we want that. But the pressures that we put on them with our words alone are the underlying factors. And this is what fuels the stigma. This is what fuels the disgrace. This is what fuels the shame. You know, often parents would sit in circles, and I had a discussion about this last week in one of my groups. This lady came and she was very proud. I have 5 children, and all 5 of them are doctors. I live in such a place. And, you know, she was very proud and she was honored because she struggled to get to where she is and to give her children the education and sacrifice so many things for them to have a better education. But 90% of my other cohort in my workshop, she made them feel this big without even saying anything negative. So my advice was, my feedback after the fact as an independently was as a one-to-one. Yes, I understand you've done so well, and I appreciate and value your sacrifices and your challenges, but don't flaunt it in an environment where everybody's feeling already so weak. So sometimes we have to very carefully think before we talk. So if there's anything that we take away from here, is to accept it's okay not to be okay. We are perfect human beings, all of us. These institutions have a very organized approach that this is the model, this is going to work for person A, B, C, and D. No, it is not. We are all very unique. Our desires, our needs are completely unique. Just like one mother knows how to treat person A, person B, person C. Mother knows what kind of breakfast person A needs, person B needs, and person C needs. Mom has that intuition. But we can't expect the institutions to have that intuition. But what we can do is put more pressure on ourselves and understand that, you know what? Maybe I have to change my environment. Maybe I have to change the way I speak. Maybe sometimes saying nothing at all would be the best thing to do. These are some of the things. Now, do we have that skill? So one skill, one tool to take away from today, and be honest with yourself. This is not for anybody else. This is for your own self-growth. And try to practice this. Firstly, what I'd like you to do is, when you're in your family environment, in any environment whatsoever, you sit with a person and they're talking to you. And I want you to identify in your own mind chatter, how many times did you want to react? How many times did you want to say something? How many times did you want to stop and say, well, I know you've got a problem, but guess what? This is what worked for me. This is what I did. How many times do you automatically want to respond, and how often do we? We are fixers by nature. So this talent of active listening is not something that comes naturally. It's an ongoing plan and an ongoing challenge. Continuously it will happen. So number one thing to do is, when you're listening to somebody, just make a note with a pen and a paper. Just mark it, thinking, I wanted to say something then, but try to stop yourself doing it, and mark it and mark it and mark it, and try to have a 5-minute conversation, and then identify on your note taking how many times you wanted to, or you had the desire to, or you had the feeling to say something, but you controlled it. And you will be alarmed of how many times we naturally want to respond. Why? Because we're fixers. We're enablers. If we see a problem, we want to fix it. And that's the kind of people we are. So that's tool number one. Try to identify your own mind chatter. Tool number two. This is called 210. And I use this every single day in my life, and I still find it challenging. 210. In any situation you want to react, any situation, maybe within your own homes or outside, inside or outside, doesn't matter. 210, this approach is called 210. Take 2 steps back and take 10 seconds to think. That's it. It may sound so easy. Oh, I can probably, hear Mary in her mind saying, damn, Naz, that's too easy for me. And I'm thinking, yeah, woman, Wait till you try it. Because when you have the desire to respond, we automatically react. We don't respond, we react. It's if you see a dog and he's minding his own business and you go there and poke him, he's not going to respond, he's going to react, he's going to rah. That's what they do, you know? So how can we train ourselves rather than reacting? How can we learn to respond? If we take 2 steps back and 10 seconds to think, you will then control your inner chatter. You then have the higher power of first recognizing, oh my God, this is what I thought, this is what I wanted to do. And those 10 seconds may seem like a lifetime, but those 10 seconds are so crucial because it will recalibrate automatically when you're in a mode to respond. Whether you react is fight, flight, or fight. These are psychological reactions, chemical reactions within our body. But if we try to tame them, we can respond rather than react. So these are the key things. So the takeaways for today, ladies and gents, is to be honest within yourself. Recognize your own environment. Remove the pressures from yourself and others. Try to pay attention to what you don't see and what you don't hear, not necessarily what you see and what you hear, because often the unspoken is what we need to pay attention to. It's not what they said. How did they say it? What tone were they using? Throughout this workshop, I raised my voice at times where I was so frustrated or angry or passionate. There's times when I lowered my voice. I would like to think it's in my control. My voice tone, I'd like to think it was my control. But if I'm honest, it's only 50% in my control, 50% because I acknowledge it, 50% because when I'm covering a subject and I'm so involved and passionate, my body takes over. And to try to tame that as well is a challenge. So be kinder to yourself, be kinder to the loved ones around you. Have the courage to accept and then go. If you need to ask for help, you contact the doctor. You reach out, you call support, you ask Mary, you contact my organization, you contact mine, you Google something. If you don't have the courage to go and speak to somebody, nowadays we have the ability to text for help. And I will send Mary some numbers, which is perfect for our children, our young people who don't often want to talk, but they're whiz kids at tick, 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 and they can have support. Leave information, like us parents, when we want to encourage our children to eat a healthy diet and make sure they have 3 meals a day, mums would go out of their way, go shopping, have a variety of foods and fruits in the house, make sure the meals cooked. Why? Because if it's there, if it's inside, maybe they'll access it and eat it. We need to do the same for mental health. Have tools lying around. You have these stress relievers. When people are watching TV, instead of tick, 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 tick on the phone, they stress relievers like sponge balls, little activities, like they mess around with their hands. And it subconsciously gives them a trigger. Some things to lie around. Maybe leave some numbers and leaflets lying around on the fridge magnet or the washing machine or near where the food is. Just leave some information or a smiley face. Have you ever considered putting a big fat round smiley face on the front of the fridge? I do it because it's one way of me doing something without actually doing something. Without mom actually constantly saying, honey, put a smile on that face. Let's let the fridge do it. Let's try to use the resources we have at home and let's try to incorporate and add those resources. And if we show our emotions, our children will show their emotions. Because one thing that our children are good at doing is never listening to what we say, but copying what we do. And that is what we do. So let's copy each other by being good role models, by openly having these conversations. And it's okay not to be okay. That's perfectly fine. We're not expected to be 110 all the time. I have moments where I find it difficult to get out of bed for a week, but it's okay. Everybody has a dip. But if it's longer than 2 weeks and is consistent and is stopping you from valuing and taking the best out of your life, that's when it's a concern. So don't use the depression words and anxiety words as flippant comments, because it's much more than a sadness. And nobody's alone. But if we are making them feel alone, that's the alarming bit. So our feelings, which we need to wear on our sleeves now, the soft skills need to come forth. Look after yourselves, keep the communication with family members open, reach out for support, help each other as a community, share your feelings, share with each other, and be kinder. Do you know it takes more energy to be sad and less energy to be happy? And I often share this with all my people. Just faking a smile like this, when you got apples in it, just faking a smile. Try it, everybody, just try it. Just put this smile on. Even if you're faking a smile, you are sending signals to your brain, which is releasing endorphins. Even if you don't want to smile, I guarantee it, practice it. It is scientifically proven. So every morning you wake up, look in the mirror and say, do you know what, Mary? You're a sexy beast and I love you. God created you and I'm here and I'm alive. Try it and see how you feel. Yeah? I'm going to end it on this note, on a positive. I'm going to open the floor for questions and answers and any sort of feedback. Over to you, Mary. You have the power.
Thank you very much, Nasrid. What an insightful and extremely informative presentation. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Thank you. We are so grateful. Yeah, to the old house now. Has anyone got a question for our darling Nasri?
Questions, comments, anything. You can tell me something's bad. Anything you want.
Observation, question, anything at all. Feel free.
I've read some comments.
This is not a question, but this is just for me to contribute to what you just said. I've learned something new today. I'm empowered. I'm a young mom of 3, but learning this from you is so powerful, especially the way my parents have brought me up. And I don't want my children going through that way. So I've started to make sure I'm mingling with people, connecting, networking, because I feel in our community, our parents have molded us in the sense that don't ask for help. You become vulnerable. When you ask for help, they think you're weak. But now I started socializing myself with younger people, older, younger than me, and I've learned something from there, because the more they come together, like just people will say, if you want to go far, go alone. If you want to go far, go with a set of people, because I felt like I've how do I put that word? I feel like if I had mingled with some people in the past 5 years of my life, I would have gotten to a starting stage of my life. But because I've been told, oh, you don't need to mingle with people, you can do this on your own, I'm behind.
Yay!
Whereby some of my friends have already gone far. I'm not jealous of them, and I'm happy for them, because they've had someone they've got mentors, they've got coaches that put them through those that way. So, and I feel in that community now, we need to start welcoming mentorship. Coaching is important. I'm a young person. Yeah, I'm 34 going 35, and I'm actually learning now. Because when we're talking about looking up to somebody, not just my parents alone. No, I want to look up to my uncles, because we've been challenged in the fact that as Black people, you can only be a nurse. No, I want to be an astronaut. Why can't I be an astronaut? Do you understand? Why can't I be a lawyer? Why can't I be a top lawyer? No.
Oh, girl.
I want to get out.
Good.
I don't want to be molded into that shape anymore. I can do better. So that's why as a young person, I'm always telling people around me, young people, you can do it. I know your mom is telling you to do this, your dad is telling you to do this. Listen to them, but find other people to help you. Because I've come to realize that sometimes going to university is important, but sometimes it's not actually necessary. If not, you have to go to uni. No, my children, when they tell me they're not going to uni, okay, fine, what do you want to do? The apprenticeship program that can take us to where we want to be. So why should I spend 3 years of my life in university and then be in debt, and I'll start paying that debt again after I've graduated university, where I can go to mentorship, apprenticeship, get knowledge, get free education, and be getting paid at the same time.
Well
So
done,
please,
young
mommies and
lady.
daddies on here, like I said, I'm a young person myself. Please, when any of my brothers, my sisters tell you this is what they want to do, support them. Even though you want them to do something, support them. If you've got younger ones at home, if it's tennis, don't say I don't have time. Make that time. It's important. Please make that time. It's necessary. If it's swimming, tennis, it's not about saying I want my child to become a footballer, but are you putting them in that process of being a footballer? Because it's all about wishes for us in our community, but we don't put the processes in. So as a young person, I could keep saying, my mommies and daddies on this call, if you've got any young people that are telling you this is what they want to do, support their dreams. Find someone that can help them. Find a mentor for them. Let us speak. Is this really, really what you want to do? Speak to them. It's not about you just commanding, no, you can't be that. You have to be a nurse. You have to be a doctor. No, so many people are in those professions and they are not happy, but they're doing it just for doing sake. So I'm just going to stop here. But thank you so much. It's been powerful. I'm going to have to go now because I've got another meeting.
Well done. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Thank you so much. She's from Cannes. Thank you. Thank you very much. And thanks for coming.
Thank you. All right. I've got to go now. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Yeah. Beautiful Mind has got something to offer us. Yeah. Beautiful Mind, can you come on board, please?
All right, thank you. Thank you very much for this opportunity. And I want to say thank you to the speaker. That was a great speech. Thank you. I just want to remind everybody that you are the most important person on this planet. Right. It's not your mommy, it's not your daddy, it's not your husband, it's not your wife, but you. And it is in doing you, it is in being you that the best of you can manifest. So please have a beautiful mind towards you and you will see what will unfold. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Stade Yinka. Thank you so much. Yeah, President Kikelo Moyerile, I've got something to say. Yeah, you can come on board.
Afternoon, everybody. And thank you for that lovely delivery, Nasrin. My question is, if children have been brought up under negativity, always negative comment, negative statement, how can the child, when they grow up to be an adult, how can they help themselves to leave all that negative comments behind and move forward in life? Some parents will say to their children, I know you won't amount to nothing. And those children, they live under that self-fulfilling prophecy, so to say. But how can that child help himself or herself and break away from that negative comment that is kind of wanting to rule their life, their mind, and their way of doing things when they become an adult?
Very interesting question. That it's a difficult one to answer. There's no clear answer to that. But as a child who is constantly surrounded by negativity, it's 110% that they will be influenced. It's, for example, when you go into a perfume shop and you can go around and around in circles and you walk out, even if you don't buy perfume, you still walk out smelling of perfume. Yeah, and it's the same concept. And it's very, very difficult to find an optimistic and a confident approach when you're surrounded by negativity. It's very challenging. But as an adult, when you are grown up, if you have the courage, the confidence, and the ability to accept and first understand that what my parents taught me, if it was a negative thing, to accept that it's okay, because they only taught me what they knew. If they knew better, they would have done better. So for that child, when they are older, it's no good them constantly saying, I haven't progressed because of my family or because my mom did this, my dad did that, this one. That will send them further down the pit. Sometimes we have to accept that that was a part of my life. They did the best they could, and it's now my duty to take action from here forth. I will take on what my parents have said, but I will try to do better. But like the lady from CAM said, we all need a mentor. And mentors don't need to come with labels or from massive organizations. Your brother could be your mentor, your uncle could be your mentor, your neighbor could be your mentor, your local corner shop could be your mentor, your butcher could be your mentor. everybody around you could be your mentor because you learn something different from everybody. So that child who's been raised in a very negative environment, that's okay. But there's only a certain amount of time you spend with your parents. You go to school, you go to college, you have friends. We try to identify and surround ourselves with people who will find the positive in you, who will see the light in you. So those are some of the things that this person can do to try their level best and also try to be around more positive company. I hope that helps with your question.
Can I come in and just give an anecdote from Rochdale?
Yes,
this is about a Rochdale-born youngster who, when it comes to deciding which subject to choose for GCSEs and A-levels, she wanted to do English. And her teacher said, no, you can't do that. Your parents are from a working background from abroad. You will struggle. You can't do it. So she came home crying, told her father. Her father is a very upright and forthright person, went to the teacher, gave her a piece of his mind, and then approached the director. The girl actually took the subject that she wanted to do, including English, and she is now an Oxford professor in English.
Oh, wow.
So never accept at face value negativity.
Fantastic.
Be positive and aim for the sky.
Alhamdulillah. Right. Well done.
Thank you very much, Councillor Sultan Ali. Yeah, I think I saw Coretta before Celestina. Coretta, have you got anything to say?
I have actually. I just wanted to say thank you very much, Mary, for putting this on, and Nazreen for the fantastic presentation that you delivered as well. I just wanted to make a comment, really. I think one of the things that came to mind is I think within our community, we need to, it's got its pros and it's got its cons, but I think what we really need to learn is that to some degrees, our communities can hold us back, especially with the mindset, the cultures, the traditions, and that can really impact on people's confidence and self-esteem. And one thing I probably would suggest is it's just so important that we take it or we make it a point to engage with people who may not necessarily look like us. You know, there is so much that we can learn. And there, you know, sometimes there's certain practices or certain experiences that we have, but because we lack the outside knowledge. So even just for an example, somebody gets mistreated in school, a parent, say from our community, might just, you know, kind of brush it under the carpet because they don't necessarily have that advice or support. And that can really be detrimental to somebody's confidence or even their mental health in the long term. But by liaising with people from outside, from different communities, different backgrounds, they can actually pinpoint parents to follow the right protocols in order to make changes, you know, long-term changes that can be influential, not only for their child, but for the rest of their community as well. So Nazreen, I just wanted to add that comment in really, because it would be great to have somebody like yourself, and I'm sure Mary, you as well, and people on this call, to have so many Nazarenes in the different parts of the communities that we have, you know, being that voice and helping us to actually see mental health in a completely new way. And, you know, signposting, you know, being there as a support to signpost individuals to the relevant support and organizations that are out there to be able to help us manage this aspect of our well-being. So thank you very, very much for giving me the opportunity to talk. And I just wish you and your organisation all the best in the work that you do.
Marvelous.
Thank you very much, Coretta. Thank you so much.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Before I take Celestina, Nashri, please, can you drop your handles on the chat box? Thank you.
My sorry, handles?
Your handles, as in your contact, your email address.
See, it's you just assumed I knew what a handle was. I was looking at my door handles.
Come on, Nashri. Anyway, as in your social media handle. Yeah. Right. Celestina, you can come on board now, darling.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting me, Mary.
You're welcome.
Thank you for coming.
Regarding the question the other lady asked, that if a parent have said negative things into the child life, when the child becomes an adult, can that thing continue? My daddy used to say something to us when we were very young. He said to you, if somebody told you you're going to die in the bush, he said, try as much as you can not to walk along that bush. Try to walk on the main road. When you walk on the main road, there's no way you're going to die in the bush.
Right.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Fantastic.
But if they told you you're going to die in the bush, and every day, evening and night, you walk in the bush, definitely you have accepted to die in the bush.
Right.
So the same way, I am just going to say, whatever negativity parents have said to children or whatever, maybe during their own time, that is the knowledge they have. That's the highest they could offer at that particular time. It's for the children. I'm in my late 60s. It's for the children to know that I am not going to walk in that path. Our parents might have made mistakes. Even we, at my age, I have made some mistake that I start realizing regarding, oh, this is what I want my child to do. This is what I want my daughter to do. I want you to become this. And the child will tell me, no, this is what I want to do. But I was insisting that, no, this is what you do because this is what is in vogue. Not knowing that this is not what the child wants. But as time goes on, with this kind of awareness that you are creating to just, I really appreciate it. Mary, keep it up, please. Let this continue.
Thank you.
With this kind of awareness, it's teaching us, we parents, we grandmas, to know that let us give these children a little chance to do what they want to do. We should just back them with prayer, back them up with prayer. That's what I just want to add into it. Thank you very much for this program, and I would love to join every time. Please, Mary, always remind me. Thank you.
I will do. Thank you very much, Pastor Lestina. Thank you. Yeah, over to Sister Esther Osakwe.
Hey, they call my name. My God. Let me just rejoice for a second here because, oh my word. Thank you so much, sister, who shared the presentation. I'm yet to learn your name. Because my first, Nasri.
Nasreen, yes.
Nasreen.
Yes.
Yes, Sister Nasreen. Oh my gosh. And especially the thing you just taught us about the what do you call it again?
Neuroscience.
Thank you. I did that in university in our final year, but I forgot the word. Thank you. Neuroscience, how the body just feels the feelings. It releases the hormones. You, with your mind, based on your thought pattern, your filters, you are the one who gives it a label that, oh, this is me feeling sad. But the body knows no difference. You have just put yourself in that bind by yourself with your mind and your thinking pattern. That's something I learned, and I was like, come. I called my 10-year-old. She's the one who said stigma is the inability to breathe. And I said to her, see, come hear what we're hearing. So I want to just shout a big thank you. I'm also a student of the mind. Like, how are we the way we are? Why do we think the way we think? So everything that I've heard here, I'm so pumped up. Honestly, the contributions are so valid. The most important thing I'm taking away with is me. I have to check myself. Do I love myself? Do I understand my own suffering? Do I understand my prejudices? Do I keep an open mind? Or do I just say, leave them people, because they do not agree with what my father said? Does it mean that they're terrible? So I just want to encourage everyone that through repetition and visualization, you can create a new outcome. I'll say that again. Through repetition, and I'm sure Sister Nasreen will agree with me, because how did you master your name? You were not born knowing your name. You were given that name. And then over time, even if I wake you up at 3 a.m. in the night, in the morning, I say, what's your name? You will say your name. Why? You've repeated it. You imagine it. You become it. So I want to just challenge anyone. It doesn't matter what has been. If you are able to just find yourself in company of people who will encourage you to be your best self. And with that might come some corrections, which are not usually pleasant. They might feel painful, but that's because your brain is telling you it's painful. So just accept that and move forward. There's so much we can delve into, but Sister started us really well. And I can't wait for the next episode. I'll be here by God's grace, and we'll challenge each other to be better. Thank you, family.
Thank you so much, Sister Esther Osakwe. Thank you. Sister Adeyinka, you can come on.
Thank you very much. I was just going to say what Sister Esther mentioned, that the word of the word affirmation, that it's really, really important to be affirming, good things about yourself. If they've spoken negative words over you for a long time, when you wake up, you say good things about yourself. I'm beautiful, I'm wonderful, I'm fearful, I can do all things. And you try to stay away from negativity. People that they don't have a positive energy, try to stay away from them. And sometimes you need to go for counseling, or you need to go for a therapy if it's disturbing you, for because one of our sisters said, oh, you have to walk on the road. Some people don't have that initiative to be able to do that. So you need to go for therapy or counseling to be able to renew your mind, to be able to channel your energy into positivity. So it is really good not to brush things under the carpet, even when you are, affirming good positivity, energy around yourself. Or sometimes we just walk on the road and don't challenge the things, or don't face the things, or don't talk about it, but they'll see come to haunt us later in the future. So it is very, very important. If you don't have the energy to walk on the road, maybe your dad has told you to walk on the grass, or you can't walk on the road, try to go and seek for counseling, go and, go to professionals, talk about it. How you making you to feel? The feelings, anytime you think about what is said, what is it that comes to you, you need to be able to forgive your father or whatever has said those bad things about you. So you ask, it's something that is a process. It's not something that you just walk and just do with it. So it is a process that you have to go through. And if you don't go through the process from beginning to the end, you just want to go to the end, it's not going to work. So that is why it's good to seek counseling and seek professionals, and you'll be able to have a beautiful mind and a head. Thank you.
Fantastic. Amazing comments.
Thank you very much, Sister Adeyinka. Thank you so much for your contribution. Yeah. Councillor Sultan Ali, you say you want to take your leave now. Thank you so much for coming. We appreciate you, sir. Thank you. And see more of you. Yeah. Hope you all have a fantastic afternoon.
Fantastic. Thank you, everybody.
We would like to use this opportunity to thank our sponsors, GMCBO and Comic Relief Fund, for their support. This wouldn't have been possible without them. And a very big thank you to everyone present here today. Thank you very much. We appreciate you all. And we shouldn't forget our take home for today. Treat people the way you want to be treated, number one. Number two, it's okay not to be okay. And number three says, be truthful to yourself. Thank you all. See you all again next time.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye, guys. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sister Nikki. Oh my God.
Thank you. See you next time.
Hope Savers Foundation. Oh my God. I didn't know you are here. Sister Nikki. Anyway, bye-bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Nasri, thank you so much. Thank you. Albert Festus. Oh my God. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Lugumi Solomon, thank you. Ruthun Bera, thank you. Esther Osakwe, thank you so much. Sister Adeyinka Adewumi, thank you. Celestina Mirabel, thank you. Joseph, thank you. Ebirium Jessica Fumi, thank you for coming. Olapi, thank you. Sister Oli, thank you. Shola, thank you. Dolapo, Larry, Justina, thank you. Ajia Zainab, oh my. Oh, thank you for coming. Sister Denike Folabi, thank you all for coming. Galaxy S5, thank you. Lucia, Danny, thank you for coming. Thank you. See you again. Bye.
Again. Bye.
Bye.